Our guest today is Mr. Amir Paracha, Chairman and CEO Unilever Pakistan. Amir is also the co-chair of Parwaaz's working panel on manufacturing and light engineering. Welcome to the platform, Amir.
Thank you.
Amir, can we get started by asking you for a brief introduction to Unilever Pakistan for our audience?
Yeah. So as you know, Unilever is actually a global organization operating in more than 180 countries. Our products actually touch around 2 billion consumers every single day. Unilever in Pakistan has been as old as Pakistan since 1948. We are operating into multi-category business, from beverages to foods to home and personal care, and into ice cream business. We have around multiple factories across the organization, and our organization employs end-to-end around 21,000 people. So I think what gives pride, the Unilever is responsible for generating livelihood for more than 21,000 people in the country.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Amir. Given the devastating impact that this pandemic has had on businesses around the world, and Pakistani businesses are no exception to this, what has been the impact of COVID-19 on the FMCG industry in general, but also on Unilever's businesses specifically?
Okay, so Jawad, as you know that it's now no old news that we are living in unprecedented times, and these are strange times, and these are extraordinary times. We are not fully aware of how deeply the COVID-19 would affect the global economy and how long-lasting the damage is going to be. But we know for sure that COVID-19 has forced the world into an economic reset in such a way that impact would continue to be felt for some years. Within months, the global fiscal policy response to the crisis to the tune of around $11 trillion US. And the associated risks are the breakdown in credit lines, which can potentially lead to liquidity crisis, high number of bankruptcies, and potentially severe job losses. Good news is that, Pakistan is largely a domestic economy, and our reliance on export is very limited. While as a consumer goods company and industry, especially on the basis of deeply relevant hygiene and foods portfolio, we are happen to be more on the fortunate side of the spectrum. I'm not saying that, we have insulated ourselves, but, as Unilever, we happen to be operating into a sector which is called the essential goods sector. And not only Unilever, it's across the CPG industry, and we have actually, interestingly, experienced an upsurge in demand. Unilever operates across multiple categories, tapping consumer demand across need spaces, from essentials to impulse. And interestingly, 75% of our portfolio remain relevant as consumers continue to consume essential products like skin cleansing products, like foods, beverages, hair care, and washing products like laundry. We also observed a shift in consumer buying pattern amidst this corona outbreak, with a demand surge in core categories, including cleansing tea and foods. However, those categories which happen to fall within the impulse buying category, like, for example, in our cases, happen to be ice cream, and our non-essentials category like skincare, have seen a decline in consumption. The economic repercussions of the pandemic have also resulted in consumption slowdown for essential categories. This is clearly a result of consumer preferences being shifted, and they are bracing for economic downturn through conservative buying. So this is what my view to what basically we've actually asked, that, the impact of the business around the world and how it has impacted our business locally and the industry in general.
So Amir, when it comes to employment and jobs in the essential segment of your business, it sounds like good news for the people that are employed in that. But on the impulse side, there may have been job losses. So the net position within the consumer good industry and at Unilever, has the industry been able to protect most of the jobs, or there have been layoffs in some areas?
So Jawad, you know that we are about to be getting into this phase which everyone is calling the next normal. And interestingly, when we basically look around ourselves, some of the startups which have actually made big in the last 1 decade, like Airbnb, Booking.com, Uber, and historic hotel chains experiencing overnight shifts in the business. Industries which belong to the non-essential items like hospitality, transportation, travel, luxury, or involved in the import-export models have been severely hit. We have actually seen a decline of around $3 billion in our exports as well lately. In Pakistan, we suspect around 3 million job losses, unfortunately, which have been directly hit by Corona. And these in turn can impact millions of households. Noticeably, the local textile and construction sectors have experienced one of the worst declines. Similarly, the restaurants and its auxiliary business have also been hit hard. Across the board, we have seen job losses and livelihood impact, and I think so. Unfortunately, we are about to see more in the second half of 2020. And these losses of job will also impact our progress on diversity and equality as women are more likely to be affected by job losses because, of course, the mobility of our people have been restricted due to this COVID-19. And if you further top it up, factory closures on restricted shifts have also led to devastating impact on the livelihood of daily wage earners. That's what you're basically seeing. Now, companies are also preemptively adopting some leaner models to shield against these recessionary impact on business that they can see it coming. Though the FMCG industry, which I've just basically mentioned about, has not been as severely hit by the pandemic, but the reality is we won't be able to insulate ourselves completely. There are going to be some implication as we start to see the disposable income of the people will start to decline. And hence there is going to be an impact even on the CPG industry, may not in the short term, but in the long term, eventually it's going to be.
Okay.
So meanwhile, while we basically see this happening, there's a positive side to this equation as well. We also see some small startups which are emerging and fulfilling the new demand spaces created by this pandemic. For example, we have seen an upsurge in delivery services, homemade food, interestingly, home sanitization, PPEs. And these are few models which we have started to gain traction in these recent times. I personally think business that can or now resorting to digital models and meet people who are skilled in tech. Companies are exploring freelancing to fulfill their gaps. I think this way we will be able to slightly make up for the employment job losses from the traditional industry that is happening. But yes, that's what the evolution we have seen over the last 4 months.
Amir, do you see the transition of the workers that are losing jobs in some of the traditional segments, making that move into the tech space? Or is that going to be a brand new set of people?
Unfortunately, it's not going to be that simple.
Yeah.
Jawad, unfortunately, it's not going to be that simple because the skill required in the tech space is not being with the legacy of the traditional workers. So someone needs to basically upskill or reskill themselves in order to get into a tech space. Yes, people who are going to be basically in the operational leg of the tech space will still be able to get employed. For example, within the delivery sector, people who are basically the riders or who are the runners, they still be able to be absorbed by the tech companies because it doesn't require much of a tech skill. So there's a lot of run around job which is required. So even those people can be absorbed who happen to be working as laborers or basically on the factory floors. They can still be employed and engaged by these tech delivery companies. And I think so that's a good news about the current situation.
So, Amir, what is your view on the business outlook within the consumer goods industry over the next 12 to 18 months? Do you see signs of recovery in some categories or across the consumer good businesses? What's your view on that?
So, Jawad, before I get on to the answer, it's important to share how economists sketches the recovery outlook, and they practically sketches the recovery outlook in three broad ways. It's V, U, or L-shaped recovery. Yeah. V-shaped recovery, we usually see a loss of output for a shorter time period, but it quickly rebounds back to the normal. In case of U-shaped recovery, which is also called the bathtub recovery, shock persists for some time, output get impacted, but then it basically make a return after 18 to 24 months. However, the L-shaped recovery is ugly. It causes significant structural damages. It impacts the economy supply side, the labor market, capital formation, and productivity functions. Now, we hope that the recovery in Pakistan is not U or L-shaped, but more like a V-shape. And interestingly, if you were to look at the empirical data from previous pandemics, be it Spanish flu, SARS, Hong Kong flu, Asian flu, they were more like V-shaped recoveries. So this is first how the general recovery pattern looks like and how it happened to be in the previous pandemics if you were to basically look at the old data. Now coming to Pakistan, Pakistan went through an economic course correction, as you know, back in 2019. And as a consequence, we have already started experiencing a slowdown in economy back in 2019, even pre-COVID time. Our GDP was basically plummeted from an average of 4.4 to 5% down to 1.9 last year. Yeah. And just when the country was transitioning towards stability, we are being severely hit by Corona. The GDP outlook for the next fiscal year is now signals a continued uphill battle with or without COVID. And we are basically forecasting a GDP of around -2. And businesses are constantly striving to remain relevant amidst these crises. Now, that's what Pakistan is looking like. Now, if I were to basically look at, the CPG industry, again, I think so fortunate part is that 75% of the portfolio of the consumer product companies are relevant, 25% may be irrelevant, but, the relevant portfolio is seeing much upsurge to make up for that irrelevant portfolio, and they will be able to navigate through these tough times. The tough part is going to be all the businesses which are in the non-essentials businesses. So I think so if this were business as usual, we and most companies would be investing in innovative solutions, product and reach expansion. But I think so for the time being, we see that all those businesses who happen to be into the essential businesses, they will see an upsurge, they'll be able to navigate, and all those people who are livelihoods are associated with those businesses will also be able to ride through this pandemic, through this crisis. And basically, we are clearly seeing these new digital, solutions that are coming up. They'll also be able to absorb a shock from those businesses who happen to be in the business of durables, who happen to be in the businesses of automobile, real estate, construction, textile. That's where basically we may be seeing a bit of pressure or stress coming through.
So Amir, this outlook, what is its manifestation in terms of jobs? Are there going to be, within the essential categories, are there going to be new jobs created, and in what areas, or is it essentially about just protecting what exists right now?
So, as I've said it, so there are some jobs which continue to be protected. For example, all those jobs which happen to be in the essential goods category, they continue to be protected, or there will be a possibility they may basically hire some more people because they are experiencing an increase and upsurge in demand. That's number one. Number two, there are going to be some more jobs being created. All these small startups or those companies, startup companies, which are getting, into deliveries, and they're clearly basically seeing an upsurge in the e-commerce business. For example, Unilever alone have actually experienced an exponential rise in e-commerce business by around 5 times, than our usual run rates. Similarly, our ERTM business, which is basically, tele-ordering, have seen an exponential rise over the last 4 months. The food delivery services or any kind of deliveries have actually been experiencing a massive upsurge. A lot more people are actually now basically going and doing e-shopping, be it's clothing, be it's grocery items, be it's mobile phones. So I see there's going to be a lot of jobs coming into a delivery space. And I see basically this ecosystem or delivery space is going to be developed big way. If you were to look at China, in China, massive number of people are being, employed by these delivery, startups. And I think so this is one sigh of relief that all those people who may get, get unemployed, they may basically get absorbed into these new job spaces that's coming into the digital. Other thing is, not necessarily everyone is going to be losing jobs if they happen to be belonging to non-essential categories. I think so the companies are basically now looking for leaner structures. They may be basically, there are many organizations that are basically saying that, listen, we would like to basically hold you guys. So therefore, let's agree that you operate at half of their salaries in order so the kitchen keeps on running. So, companies are coming with different kind of models, and that's what my submission, using, benefiting from this platform is going to try to basically protect the livelihoods of these people. That's going to be most important piece as a nation. And hence we need to basically deploy some efficient business models through relief programs so that we can soften the blow for small business owners through new ways of working, through upscaling, through tech enablement, and through a compassionate revisit of how we can help those most vulnerable to the crisis. And it's imperative for the best of our leadership to kick in at this time of the need of people to take an open-minded approach to flexible ways of working, and that may vastly different from the 9-to-5 shift that we have been basically using for decades now. And I think that's what my submission and that's my take generally for the industry is.
Amir, let's just focus for a little bit on your existing workforce. Now, the shrinking revenues and profits also mean tightening of the training and development budgets. The other challenge to training is that working from home has reduced the opportunities of the workforce to get involved in on-site trainings. The online training platforms like Coursera and LinkedIn, Udemy, Udacity, is that something that Unilever has started to use a lot in terms of meeting its employees' training and development requirements? And is that going to be permanent?
So, Jawad, as the overall strategy organization has repivoted over the last 4 months, so has the learning and development strategy. Tech and digital enablement unlocks both disruption and survival right now. And thus the journey from face-to-face L&D to virtual upskilling is being pursued relentlessly at overnight pace. Now, even pre-COVID days, Unilever have already basically gone to, online training modules. Last year alone, we basically made our senior managers to go through a 3-month diploma online virtual courses with, say, London Business School, Harvard Business School, INSEAD. So we have already basically gone to this path. But now all the more reason that we basically are looking at both the needs of our people and business and implementing solutions that fit the realities of our next normal. We want our people to be basically, skilled through bite-sized content, which they can work with a self-managed or company-led pace. We are also considering how to provide people the tools and support about learning through a progressive push in making L&D a continued priority.
Yeah.
We are taking a balanced and supportive approach that works on ensuring 100% adoption of new ways of learning. As a response, Unilever has already basically rolled out its in-house program called Degreed. It's an in-house learning platform. And also we are using the LinkedIn learning platforms for a few avenues which are gaining traction lately. So to date in Unilever Pakistan alone, 6,000 learning man-hours have been clocked in. And this has been purely virtual.
Okay.
And we're also using group learnings, peer-to-peer learning techniques to ensure organic growth of our learning culture that has always existed, but now basically all the more reason that we need to actually accelerate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so this is what the organizations need to be embracing. And thankfully, Unilever has already basically started this journey some 2 years back, pre-COVID time. So we were virtually ready with online training modules and the development of our people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The current pandemic, Amir, has also, necessitated the need to come up with innovations and innovate really fast to be able to ensure business continuity. Are any 2 or 3 such innovations come to your mind that Unilever has undertaken in the last 4 months that you think are now going to become a permanent feature of your business and operating model?
Yeah. No, so it's interesting, the last 4 months, every month has been different than the previous month, and hence speed and agility are critical for the current times and have been displayed in true spirit by most of the organizations in the country, and so has us. And we have seen that the spirit of serving the nation has been, for Unilever, a key driver for agility and commitment during COVID times. And why I say basically the spirit of serving the nation, because, Unilever being the biggest soap manufacturer in the country, and soap being the biggest deterrent to control this virus, we felt like it's basically more a national duty to really serve the nation during the time of this need. So, we had a record-breaking outputs. We have observed in our ice cream factory. We have received a record-breaking outputs at our tea factory. Some of our key leadership traits that have supported this include an organic effort to empower teams, especially given that most were working in different locations. Secondly, decision-making has been freed of any extra layer to make sure we are responsible most in time. Now, coming specifically to your question, which is innovation, the spirit of innovation that has come with such trust, empowerment, and agility is something that will continue to drive aspirational standards. And, within the hygiene space, within days, we have seen innovations that center on consumer interest, such as, for example, we launched Lifebuoy sanitizer, which we earlier used to import from China because, there's been a very low consumption of sanitizers in Pakistan. Yeah. And because China itself was experiencing with this pandemic and went on a lockdown, we stopped receiving any sanitizers from China. So within a matter of 2 weeks, we basically developed sanitizers in our own country, with around 80%, alcohol composition. And we have basically now seen an upsurge in demand of sanitizers. So this is something we only cracked in 20 days. And the other is basically, our surf toilet cleaner, which is Domix. Now, in order to kill virus, you don't need a bacteria. You do not need a product that basically kills bacteria. And often consumers get mistaken, that using a product that kills bacteria is going to basically kill virus as well. In order to kill virus, you need this ingredient called hypochlorite. And, we had product Domix, which is basically a toilet cleaner, but it doesn't have hypochlorite because it has bleach to kill bacteria. Yeah. Within a matter of 5 days, again 5 days, we managed to basically come up with a Domix, which is called the all-purpose cleaner, which is hypochlorite that kills virus. And I think this was done only in a space of 10 to 15 days. And honestly, had it been normal days, I think so we would have actually taken, our innovation process would have actually taken 6 months to basically launch these products. And that's what basically pandemic does, or crisis does to you, that something which has been a big no-no, break all those paradigms. That's something you would have done in 6 months. You've actually ended up doing in matter of say 5 days or 2 weeks. And now basically we see this as a permanent theme of ours. Anything which we find relevant in the current context, we will be innovating. Anything we think is not basically relevant to the current context, we will not be making any investment to be in the capex or be in the opex.
Understand? Yeah. No, that's very impressive. The turnaround times that you've shared in terms of getting these critical products into the market is very, very impressive. I also wanted to get a sense from what do you think the consumer good industry can do to come together and take initiatives which help to protect jobs and perhaps also create new jobs in areas that you've identified.
Yeah. So I think so interesting, again, building on what I've already said, because consumer goods industries are already experiencing an upsurge in the demand. So there's a possibility, that they will be hiring more people. All those people who unfortunately has been made unemployed by the industries where they are experiencing a downward spiral in their demand. Number two is, I think so, the grocery which people earlier used to go to the retail outlets to buy stuff. Now they are more comfortable, ordering online. And I think so, the grocery being consumed in our country is humongous. And the people who have actually lost those jobs can actually either get employed by the CPG industry directly, or all those startups which already either existed or have basically popped up into delivery space, they can be consumed in the delivery of these consumer good products to the 22 million households that actually today, we serve in the country. So I think so this is going to be a space where I think so the CPG industry can come to the service of those people who have been either unemployed or underemployed during this space. And I think so that's going to be the contribution that CPG industry can actually make. I think so the other companies also basically looking at repivoting. I'm seeing, many other organizations, they are repivoting. They are basically coming up with new models to serve. They are basically not present in new demand spaces. And I've seen, they started going into these new demand spaces. So I think so, very swiftly, the organizations are repivoting and basically trying to stay relevant by coming up with the products that can actually, can meet the current times. And I think so, my best example is, is in the food industry. The restaurant industry is going through tough times, as you know. The dine-ins are not allowed. People may not be comfortable with this. And I think so. There are certain basically eateries that have come up with a concept called, where they are basically giving all the ingredients separately, packing them up, and they are basically sending in a box, and it's basically do it yourself. You assemble all the products yourself, and all those ingredients are not being touched by some other person. And that's very interesting way the people are basically, flexing their creative muscle to really repivot and come up with new models. And I think so that's what we are actually seeing. Likewise, I'm seeing, a lot more basically clothing products are being pushed on the e-commerce, platform instead of basically going to the retail outlets. So they're also basically, so I see a major upsurge in this delivery space. And this will be able to at least basically get the kitchen going of the people who belong to the lower socioeconomic classes.
Understand. So Amir, these are very uncertain and despondent times for our youth that is graduating from colleges and universities and looking to enter the job market. In this environment of hopelessness, what is the one positive message that you can give them that helps them to regain their confidence and lift their hopes?
So yeah, that's a very compelling situation as we stand, especially for the youth. And I think the heat of the crisis will be inevitably felt by all of us. And it's important to remember that while the challenge is massive, we have been through bad times in the past with the unique Pakistani spirit of resilience intact and emerged battle-hardened and victorious before, and so shall we once again. So I think so one of the confidence I have in my nation is I think so, we are a very resilient nation. Yeah. Interestingly, we are the happiest nation in South Asia, and we are the 66th happiest nation in the world. Why? Because as a nation, we believe that tomorrow is going to be better. As a nation, we are a very resilient nation. So this crisis may be of a different nature, but it's not the first time as a nation we are experiencing this crisis. We have been hit hard by the natural calamities, be it earthquakes or be it any kind of other natural calamity. We have been hit by war on terror. We have been hit by economic challenges and now pandemic. So I think so the first part is, as a nation, we are very mentally resilient nation. We can navigate through any kind of crisis, and I'm certain we can do by now as well. Now, particularly for youth, unfortunately, it's going to be trial by fire for them. But I urge them to look at this time as an opportunity for upskilling themselves and investing behind self-development to future-proofing their skill sets. The silver lining is that those who survive will have both the professional integrity and personal resilience to take the challenges of the business of the future. We do not know how the workplace would evolve.
Yeah.
Your ability to participate and lead in this change is now more important than ever.
Yeah.
And let's put it to good use. And I share some interesting fact with you. Interestingly, SARS is being credited for promoting the online shopping culture in China.
Okay.
And that was the time when Alibaba started to pick its game, and today it has become the behemoth when it comes to the online business.
Yeah.
So pandemic at that time actually basically gave rise to this online shopping in China, and that too I see basically now happening in Pakistan. So clearly one thing we know that we are actually basically now moving towards future of works. And my take is the routine and mono skills will be replaced by specialists. Insight-driven and multidisciplinary roles.
Yeah.
Skills like creativity, empathy, collaboration will gain more traction and prominence. Teams will be comprised, interestingly, of permanent, temporary, freelance, and machine employed. Yeah. Agile and organic teams will keep evolving. Members now, we see that in this new world, which is next normal, can co-opt for projects they are passionate about rather being being curated by their bosses. Without any addition of manpower and technology, we are going to be seeing an increase in productivity. Yeah. And who will be successful during these times? That's going to be the key question. My personal belief is people who lead with influence than authority, people who will solicit participation and not hierarchy, and they are purpose-led and not power-driven.
Yeah.
And literacy in today's time is not going to be about read or write. The new meaning of literacy is going to be learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Yeah.
And finally, the key thing or the leadership trait the organizations require, particularly for youth and for their larger community, is they need to be adequately communicating with their people. They should make them feel comfortable. They should certainly show heightened bias for compassion, then action, actively collaborate with their partners and communities.
Yeah.
And I think that's what basically required as we basically go through this time. And I'm sure basically like in the past, Beats World or Beats Pakistan have managed to navigate through different kind of crises. We will be able to manage and navigate through these times, and as it goes, that good times build confidence, bad times build character. And I'm sure these bad times are the time of crisis. As a nation, we will basically come out a lot more resilient, a lot more basically endured. And I think so we should basically keep the larger purpose in mind. This is a time where we should be basically serving larger communities. We should be protecting the livelihoods of people. We should be less worried about basically, making profits. We should be rather worried about how we can basically ensure that, the livelihoods of the people will basically stay intact, even to the tune of that their minimum, their kitchen keeps on learning, on running. And I think so we'll be able to navigate through these times.
Thank you so much, Amir, for making the time and talk to us. It has been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Jawad. And thank you for really basically inviting me for this session. I'm genuinely privileged, and it's been an absolute delight, talking to you and sharing my views. It's been amazing. So thanks a lot.